I'm Brigantia, Blackbird of Blackbird's Brew. Happy Sunday. Today we're going to have our introduction to the Norse god Thor. We'll be going over some basic information, covering the fact that he's kind of the everyman's god, and also a few of his more significant symbols. So let's just dive right in. Thor is also called Thornar and also Donar in the Germanic circles. He's the son of Odin and Jord. His wife is named Sif, and he has a mistress called Yarnsaxa. He has 3 children that are mentioned. His daughter Thrud by Sif, then he has a son named Magni by Yarnaxa, and another son called Modi, possibly by Yarnaxa. There is debate on this point. Apparently it's ambiguous in the myth, so as per usual, accounts vary. Now when we see the mythological Thor pictured, it's usually someone who's very tall, very brawny, just the absolute epitome of masculinity. And he's usually shown as having red hair and a red beard. He drives a chariot that is pulled by 2 goats. The first is called, here's where I'm going to get in trouble, Tanjostir and Tangrisnir. Anyone who knows the appropriate pronunciations, please correct me in the comments. These poor goats, in addition to carrying his chariot, also have the misfortune of being regularly slaughtered and eaten by Thor, who the following day will bring them back to life. So you want to talk about a life-death rebirth cycle. These 2 goats, they've got most of the liminal deities beat by a wide margin. They are well acquainted with the process. But Thor is considered to be a god of thunder and lightning, and in fact when it's thunder and lightning, one of the legends is that, oh, Thor is fighting off the Jotnar. But Thor is also considered to be a god of the household, of fertility, and of hallowing, specifically using Mjolnir to sanctify things. Now Thor has always had a very popular appeal with people in general, both in current modern times as well as in ancient times. Particularly in Iceland, where he was placed far greater emphasis upon Thor than even upon Odin. So he became this god of the everyman, and it was said that he would receive both 3 men and thralls, which was a word for slave, in his home. So he was very accessible. He was seen as a protector of humans, most especially from giants, but as a protector of humans in general. And he was also seen as the upholder and the defender of all that was virtuous as far as Norse philosophy was to go. He was this paragon that people were to aspire to. And it's kind of interesting with him because he's one of the rare gods who is explicitly concerned with ethics, morality, and whether or not you're living an honorable life on a daily basis. He was also responsible for blessing weddings, births, and as well as special ceremonies where his protection and the hallowing is desired. And as his marriage to Sif demonstrates, because as previously mentioned she is both an earth and an agricultural goddess, this further underscores Thor's importance and his connection to humankind. They are tied to us in a way that other gods are a bit more removed. Now, as far as his major symbols go, we have, of course, Mjolnir, the famous hammer. We all know what that does, and we'll probably get into stories about that as the month goes on, but we know what this is. He also has a magical belt that doubles his natural strength, as if he wasn't already mighty enough. And this belt was called Mingingjord, and he also had iron gloves that he would wear that would help him wield Mjolnir. And these gloves were called Jerngripper. I'm butchering this. I am very, very sorry. Again, if you know how to pronounce these any better, correct me in the comments below. Other symbols, of course, are goats. They are sacred to Thor. And the goats really represent fertility as well as generosity. These are very important animals in farming. They can provide milk, meat, leather, bones for a variety of purposes. They are rather like the American buffalo, where you use all the parts of the buffalo to really get it used. Thor is associated with multiple runes. First Ansöz, which deals with signals and being a messenger, also associated with Loki, and if you'll recall in the myths, Loki was oftentimes Thor's companions on a variety of adventures, and they weren't always at odds. Their relationship, kind of had some ups and downs. The next rune is Awaz, meaning defense, avertive powers, and the yew tree. Then Inguz, dealing with fertility, new beginnings, and also Ing, the hero god. And then the fourth rune was Rado, meaning journey, communication, union, and reunion. And Thor did have to do a lot of journeying, so this is a very appropriate rune to associate with him. And then, of course, we have Thurisaz, which means gateway, a place of non-action, and, of course, the god Thor. Then we have certain plants associated with him, acorns as well as oak trees and oak moss, and then the thistle is associated with him. There are certain stones, carnelian, lodestone, red agate, and the metals iron and steel, for obvious reasons. I mean, these are the metals of a warrior, so it only makes sense. For incense, you could use dragon's blood, juniper, and pine. Those are the three most common associations I found for him. And of course, Thursdays are named for Thor. So, that was a really brief, very rapid-paced introduction to this god. We'll be getting into him in greater depth as the month goes on. But that's it for now, and I'll see you in another video. Bye.